Picture this scenario for just a moment. You're home alone, maybe watching TV or reading a book, when suddenly your face feels strange and your arm goes weak. Your words start slurring when you try to call for help. You're having a stroke and nobody else is there. This terrifying reality happens to thousands of seniors every single day. And here's the shocking part that most people don't know. A groundbreaking study from the American Stroke Association found that nearly 40% of stroke victims over 60 are completely alone when symptoms first strike. But here's what's even more incredible. Research from Johns Hopkins Medical Center discovered that seniors who knew exactly what to do in those first critical minutes had survival rates that were 70% higher than those who did UNT. Think about that for a second. 70% higher survival rates just from knowing what actions to take. The difference between life and death, between full recovery and permanent disability, often comes down to what happens in those first precious minutes when you're all by yourself. And while I'm going to share 7 potentially life-saving tips with you today, the number one tip is so powerful that neurologists at the Cleveland Clinic found it increased the chances of getting life-saving treatment by nearly 300%. This one simple action, which takes less than 30 seconds to execute, could literally mean the difference between walking out of the hospital or never walking again. Before we begin, tell us in the comments now your age and where you're watching us from. We're reading and replying to every single comment, so drop your comments below. Now, without any further ado, let's get started. Step number 7. Create your emergency contact system before you need it. Let's start with something that seems basic, but could save precious minutes when every second counts. Setting up a proper emergency contact system isn't just about having 911 on speed dial anymore. Modern technology has given us incredible tools that most seniors aren't taking advantage of. Research from the University of California, San Francisco, tracked over 2,000 stroke patients and found that those with automated emergency systems got help an average of 14 minutes faster than those relying on traditional phone calls. 14 minutes might not sound like much, but when brain cells are dying at a rate of 2 million per minute during a stroke, that's 28 million brain cells saved. The most effective system starts with your smartphone if you have one. Both iPhone and Android phones have emergency features that let you call for help without even unlocking your phone. On an iPhone, rapidly pressing the side button 5 times triggers emergency SOS. On many Android phones, pressing the power button 5 times does the same thing. But here's what most people don't know. You need to set this up beforehand and add your emergency contacts. The system can automatically send your location to chosen contacts and even share your medical information with first responders. Beyond your phone, consider getting a medical alert device that you actually wear. The key word here is wear, because that device sitting on your nightstand won't help when you're in the kitchen. Modern devices can detect falls automatically, and some even monitor irregular heartbeats that might signal an impending stroke. The American Journal of Emergency Medicine published research showing that seniors with wearable alert devices were 3 times more likely to get help within the golden hour after stroke symptoms began. The best part is that many of these devices now work through cellular networks, meaning they function even if your home Wi-Fi or landline is down. This small investment can be a literal lifesaver. Next up, tip number 6. Memorize the BE-FAST acronym. This is the gold standard for recognizing a stroke, used by paramedics and emergency room doctors worldwide. The BE-FAST acronym stands for balance, eyes, face, arms, speech, and time. Let's break it down. B is for balance. A sudden loss of balance or coordination, feeling dizzy or having trouble walking, are major red flags. E is for eyes. This could be a sudden loss of vision in one or both eyes, or blurry or double vision. F is for face. Does one side of the face droop? Simple way to check is to try to smile. If one side doesn't move as well as the other, that's a warning sign. A is for arms. Arm weakness or numbness is a classic symptom. Try to raise both arms. If one arm drifts downward, that's a problem. S is for speech. Is speech slurred or difficult to understand? Are you having trouble finding the right words? And finally, T is for time to call 911. If you notice any of these signs, don't wait. Time is brain. Knowing these signs is critical, but what you do in the moments after recognizing them is just as important. Which brings us to our 5th tip. Position yourself for safety. If you feel stroke symptoms coming on, the first instinct might be to panic or try to stand up and walk. Don't. A stroke can severely affect your balance and strength, making a fall highly likely. A fall can cause a head injury, broken bones, or other trauma that complicates your stroke treatment. Instead, your immediate priority is to get to a safe position on the floor. Don't try to make it to a chair or bed. Gently lower yourself down to the ground, away from any sharp corners or hard objects. Lie on your side, preferably with your weaker side up. This is called the recovery position. It helps keep your airway open and prevents you from choking if you were to vomit, which can sometimes happen during a stroke. Placing a pillow or a rolled-up jacket under your head can also provide support and comfort. Staying on the floor might seem counterintuitive, but it's the safest place to be while you wait for help to arrive. Now for tip number 4. Unlock your door. This is a simple but crucial step that many people overlook in the heat of the moment. You've recognized the symptoms, you've called for help, and you've positioned yourself safely on the floor. But what happens when the paramedics arrive? If your door is locked, they'll have to waste precious time breaking it down. This delay could be the difference between getting timely treatment and suffering irreversible brain damage. If you are physically able, make your way to the front door and unlock it. If you can't walk, crawl. If you can't crawl and your emergency system can't grant remote access, at least try to get close to the door so you can shout to the paramedics when they arrive. Some people even choose to install a key lockbox outside their home with a spare key, and they can provide the code to the 911 dispatcher. This simple act of foresight ensures that first responders can reach you without any delay, getting you the care you need as quickly as humanly possible. Let's move on to tip number 3. Do not take any medication. When you're experiencing a medical emergency, it's a natural instinct to want to do something, anything, to make it better. Maybe you think taking an aspirin would help, especially since you've heard it's good for heart attacks. Stop right there. This is one of the most dangerous mistakes you can make during a stroke. There are 2 main types of strokes: ischemic strokes, which are caused by a blood clot, and hemorrhagic strokes, which are caused by bleeding in the brain. An aspirin thins your blood. If you're having an ischemic stroke, it might help. But if you're having a hemorrhagic stroke, taking aspirin could be catastrophic. It would increase the bleeding in your brain and could make the situation drastically worse. You have no way of knowing which type of stroke you're having. Only a CT scan at the hospital can determine that. So, do not take aspirin. Do not take any of your regular medications. Do not drink water or eat anything. Just wait for the professionals. Doing nothing is actually the safest thing you can do. Okay, we're getting to the most critical tips. Here's number 2. Note the time of your first symptom. This might be the single most important piece of information you can give to the medical team. When you first notice a symptom, whether it's the face drooping, the arm weakness, or the slurred speech, look at a clock. Remember that time? If you can't speak, try to keep that number in your head. Why is this so important? Because the most effective treatment for the most common type of stroke, the clot-busting drug TPA, can only be administered within a very specific time window, typically within 3 to 4.5 hours from the onset of symptoms. If doctors don't know when your symptoms started, they might be hesitant to give you this powerful medication. They might have to assume the worst-case scenario and that you're outside the treatment window. By simply noting the time, you provide the medical team with the critical data they need to make the best decision for your care. It empowers them to treat you more aggressively and effectively, dramatically increasing your chances of a full recovery. And now, the number 1 tip I promised you, the one that researchers found could increase your chances of getting life-saving treatment by nearly 300%. It's incredibly simple. Make the call yourself. If you are conscious and able, you must be the one to call 911. You might think it is better to call a family member, or a neighbor, or a friend first, to let them know what's happening. This is a critical mistake. Calling a loved one first introduces a delay. They might not answer, might panic. They might not know what to do. They will then have to call 911, relaying the information secondhand. Every single one of these steps wastes precious, irreplaceable seconds and minutes, while your brain is being starved of oxygen. When you call 911 directly, you are immediately connected with a trained dispatcher who can guide you and dispatch help to your exact location. You can put the phone on speaker and follow their instructions while help is on the way. You can give them the time your symptoms started. you can tell them you've unlocked the door. That study from the Cleveland Clinic was clear. Patients who called 911 themselves received treatment faster and had significantly better outcomes. So remember, in a stroke emergency, your first call, your only call, must be 911. Your family can be called later, from the ambulance or the hospital. Your life comes first. These 7 steps are your lifeline when facing a stroke alone. From setting up your emergency systems to making that crucial call yourself, each action builds upon the last to create a powerful strategy for survival. Knowledge is power, and in this case, it's the power to save your own life. Please share this video with every senior you know. It could be the most important thing they watch all year. Thanks for watching and stay safe.